Hey, folks, if you haven't done so already, please click that subscribe button below. That'll help us grow as a show, attract better guests. Together, let's make healthcare better for everyone. Once again, click that subscribe button. We'll see you on the next one.
Get ready to take control of your healthcare. Here's your host, Ray Cober.
You have a little bit of schooling in your background. I think you said 9 years. It's a lot of school. Let's jump right into it. What do you think about the current state of healthcare and the opportunity for business leaders who are looking to manage this top payroll expense, typically, or top SG&A expense, typically number one or two after payroll, healthcare? What is their opportunity for savings and to do better than kind of the status quo?
Right now, a lot of positive movements for pharmacies, plan sponsors, and employers to make the entire system transparent. So when the system becomes transparent, then the drug spend goes down, and then patients' out-of-pocket expense goes down as well. So there's a lot of moving pieces right now.
Yeah.
And as you know, PBMs, pharmacy benefit managers, they're supposed to administer and manage prescription drug benefits of employers and plan sponsors. And they have done that, or they had done that at the beginning of their creation. However, throughout the past decade or so, they have become, they realize that, this could be really lucrative for them at the expense of the plan sponsors and at the expense of the patient. And so they started creating this vertical integration model where they own everything under their umbrella. As you may know, right now there are only truly 3 large PBMs that control 80% of the prescriptions in the United States. These are CVS Caremark, OptumRx, and Express Scripts. And they are part of this large, umbrella of vertical integration model where their parent companies and their subsidiaries own almost everything from top to bottom. CVS Caremark is owned by CVS Corporation, who owns insurance companies like Aetna, SilverScript.
Right.
And then, there's PBM, which is Caremark. And then from there, you would have rebate aggregator called Zinc. And as you know, CVS also owns retail pharmacy. They also own mail order specialty pharmacy. Same thing for Optum. Optum is part of the United Healthcare system, and they have United Healthcare plans. And then PBM has OptumRx. Then they have their own rebate aggregator called Emisar Pharma Services. And Emisar is located out of Ireland. And then Optum also owns their own mail order pharmacies.
Moving part of the business overseas to Ireland and Switzerland, is that something that's new, or has this been kind of the practice for many, many years?
No, it's fairly recent. Optum used to have a United States-based rebate aggregator called Coalition for Advanced Pharma Services. I think they wrapped that entity in around like 2017 or 2018 possibly. And then they created Emisar. And then Express Script is very recent that they created this Ascent Health in Switzerland. So it's fairly recent development. And one thing about vertical integration is that, these PBMs are perfecting the vertical integration, almost like, I want to say 95%. And they've done that, and the whole, the system allowed them to do so. At the same time, because they are perfecting the vertical integration, now they're creating horizontal partnerships with other PBMs. So a lot of smaller PBMs are now depending upon these big 3 PBMs and their rebate aggregators in order to survive. So it's very difficult for a prescription claim not to be touched by these top 3 PBMs or their subsidiaries.
So they really are controlling the marketplace, is what I'm hearing. If you have small PBMs that can't compete because essentially I don't want to use the wrong terminology, especially with you being attorney, but it sounds like price fixing to me. And ultimately, they're the conduit to the very survival of these smaller competitors. That seems ass backwards to me. It just seems like, hey, there's something smells rotten in Denmark.
Right.
Yeah.
So much dirt, so much loopholes that allow the PBM to rake in money.
Right.
At the expense of the plan sponsor, at the expense of the beneficiaries.
That is just crazy to me. And folks, if you're listening and you're the CEO, you're the CFO of one of these companies. I mean, I could only imagine like a Fortune 10 company has got a multi-billion-dollar a year budget for healthcare. And if we're talking about 20 to 30% being super conservative of that budget being PB pharmacy fees, right? Drugs. And then you have the ability to optimize that and cut your costs anywhere from 30 to 60%. You're talking about a huge amount of money that can just flow directly to your bottom line and have those dollars repurposed to benefit your organization and your people. Why wouldn't you do that?
I mean, they may likely say that, it did not contribute directly to the employees' increase in premium, but I think the plaintiff can prove, that because of their mismanagement, their premium, the plaintiff's premium went up, and then the plaintiff's out-of-pocket cost went up drastically. So, and then it's the same plaintiff's firm among the three cases.
Yeah,
and I'm glad that you mentioned about why employers are not doing enough. I mean, I think number one is because PBMs have done a great job hiding stuff, right? Hiding their tactics, coming up with these schemes. But now employers are more being educated. However, still, it's sometimes relationships, right? Relationships control the arrangement. I'm going to give you an example of Centene. Centene is a nation's largest Medicaid managed care organization. I think Centene is the MCO for 36 states, last time I checked. Centene reserved about $1.1 billion to settle with the state Medicaid programs. For the same reason, overbilling the state Medicaid program through different tactics. Some of the states already settled, like I believe California settled hundreds of $millions, and some other states also settled in that range. But some of those states actually decide to keep Centene as their MCO. So Centene robbed you, and then you still you continued the contract with Centene.
right.
So you're okay with getting robbed, and you're giving them a second chance.
Yeah. Are PBMs amenable and open to changes if you redline a contract like that, or do they generally say this is the contract, take it or leave it?
Plan sponsors.
Yeah.
I want to say when I represent plan sponsors, their demeanor is very different than when I represent independent pharmacies.
Okay.
They want to push against independent pharmacies, to the end. For plan sponsor, it's a little bit different. So, for plan sponsor, I think the PBMs are more acceptable to the red lines and changes proposed by plan sponsors. For independent pharmacies, no. It's take it or leave it. And there are certain states that mandate PBMs to negotiate with the independent pharmacies. But I have several cases that I've done that for independent pharmacies, but that's not, that's only like few and far between.
Yeah.
All right, that's a wrap. Hit like, follow, and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.